Hi, I'm Katie Sky and welcome to my channel and welcome to the island of Pinecone. And as you can obviously tell, we're going to be doing interiors for this video. And the very first house we are working on is Molly's house, and if you remember, she has the koi pond outside of her house. And so for the inside of her house, she's going to have more of a water theme. And we're going to do a blue door so that it goes with the koi pond and all of the water we have in that area. And just so you're aware, every single house on this island will be a cabin of some sort. The log house exterior, because I think it really goes with the foresty vibe. So I just wanted to let you know, get that out of the way. Now we're moving on to her kind of like bedroom suite area, and I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with all of these houses, as is the theme of this entire island, but you know, we get there in the end, as I swear I've been saying this entire series. So Molly pretty much gets a kind of like what I consider like a basic house where it looks like a house inside. It's not like there's some interesting build that's a part of her house. It's just it's just like she can live in there. The same cannot be said for all of the villagers. Some of them don't even have a bed to sleep in, to be honest, but that's because they had specific builds around their house that kind of carried into the inside. You'll see those later in the video, I promise. So Molly got just a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, and then a little reading nook, because I feel like all of the normal villagers kind of like reading and writing. Those are kind of like their main hobbies. So that's what I kind of used for their houses. And we are doing the walls now. I'm not the best at doing said walls. I can never figure out what's enough and what's too much, so it's a work in progress, me learning how to decorate these houses properly. So we're just adding a fan, we have the faucet for the bathtub, some towels of course, and then the little brooms and some lights and plants. That's kind of the vibes that she had for her interior. So you guys are basically just going to watch me as I struggle and kind of learn more about my interior decorating style as I kind of went along with doing these builds. And all of these houses did take me several days to do, several frustrating days to do. And I definitely feel like the houses that I did at the end are a lot better than the ones at the beginning. So sorry, Molly. Yeah, she probably has the house that I guess dislike the most. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I think that it's the most plain of the houses. I feel like I did a lot better on all of the other houses, but like I said, this took several days for me to do all of these houses. I was not about to go back and redo them. So, you know, at least she has a bathroom. Most of the other villagers cannot say that for themselves. So, you know, you gotta take what you can get, Molly. And now we are just adding the last few little finishing touches with these little socks. I love the dropped socks so much. They're so cute, but it makes the villager houses look more lived in. And then just adjusting where some of these last little bits need to go. Because you know me, I'm always changing my mind, switching things out, like the bed I didn't end up liking enough. And we are done. This is what Molly's house ended up being. Let me know what you would change, because maybe I'll go back. Who knows? Probably not though, because I'm really looking forward to the next island. So I'm trying to finish Pinecone up in the next couple of weeks IRL. And now we're moving on to Fauna's house. And her house is the kind of like reading nook area. She has the land bridge, and then she has the bookshop stand. book stand, that's what she has outside of her house. So again, we carried what was on the outside inside. So she has the like bookshop vibes on the inside, and she does not have a bed. I'm sorry. And you know, this is really the first island that I've done where I haven't had the villagers have like full houses on the inside, that I've turned them into other builds. So it felt really wrong that I wasn't giving them like a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, you know, the basic necessities of real life. But I'm like, it is just a game and they don't actually have to have a bed. You know, maybe they all come over to my house and we just have sleepovers there. That's what I'm telling myself so that I don't feel bad. Fauna honestly had a pretty simple interior. You know, we have the counters at the back, you know, for the buying of the books. And then you have a little seating area where you can read your books or read other books, period. And then a little not a seating area, a like desk area, so that you guys, maybe it's a like for the book club. I like that. Yeah, it's definitely for the book club, so that you can get together and discuss the book that you're reading. That's how book clubs work, right? I've never actually belonged to a book club. I know I'm an author and I've never belonged to a book club. That's kind of crazy, but it feels weird to me to do that as an author now, to like join a book club, because I don't know, it feels like a weird separation between readers and writers a lot of the time. Anyway, let's get off of that tangent. And this is Fauna's house done. You know, it's a little messy. She might need to tidy it a little bit, but I think, here comes that word again, I think it's really cute. And I know I use it all the time, but it's true. It's cute. And we are moving on to Hazel's house now. And if you recall, she did have the little plant area outside of her house. She's gonna be the town botanist, I believe is what it's called. And so she's going to get a little like plant preparation area in her house, if you will. She does get a bed. She's, I think, one of the last couple that gets a bed. And I still feel so bad for that. I know they're not real and that it doesn't matter, but I still feel bad for not giving them a bed. It's just like when I'm writing and something unfortunate happens to one of my characters, I feel so bad. I'm like, yes, I am technically the one that did that to you, but it's not my fault, okay? That's what the story needed. It kind of feels like that to me. Like, yes, it is my fault, but the island needed it, you know? We needed it for the vibes, for the cuteness, for the decor, because the decor needs to be like top tier. So Hazel kind of has that back little corner for her bed, and then everything else is just for her plants. Like, she just loves her plants so much, she has to take care of them, give them the most space, and to just have all the work tables so that she can work with her plants, do all the different plant things. Again, I'm not a plant person, I kill plants, so I don't really know how it all works. My mom's really into like plants and trees and all of that, but I kill everything, much to her dismay. I will say that this house was one of my favorites because I just love how it came out, and it was a lot of fun to decorate. And maybe that's because even though I kill plants a lot, I do really love the outdoors, like a lot. Like we as in my dog and I go for very long walks every single morning because mental health matters, and that's kind of how I make sure that I stay sane, because otherwise I'm inside all day long and it makes me a little bananas. And I do want to say a big thank you to all of you who gave my Mental Health Awareness Month collab video a lot of love. It means so much to me, and I'm glad that you all enjoyed that video. And if you haven't seen that yet, you know, go check it out. But this house kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do for that video, because I wanted it to be like very like nature oriented, because that's what really revives me, is nature and being outside. Not when it's hot out, which is unfortunately where we're at in my town. We've already had a couple of weeks where we've been over 100 degrees, which is very much not fun when it's the end of May and the beginning of June, but that's what happens when you live in the desert. So we've been going for our walks extra early, and it will continue to get earlier and earlier to make sure that her paws never get hurt or anything with the hot asphalt or cement. So I'm always really careful of that. So we leave before like 6 a.m. and by the end of summer we'll probably be leaving at like 5 or even before 5. But you know, we got to protect her little toe beans, and also when the sun is out, it's not fun if you live in the desert. And now that I've rambled about the weather, we're gonna move on to the ceiling of Hazel's house. And I really wanted to have lots of vines, so it kind of looks like her house is almost growing what she has outside, kind of like inside, so almost like it's taking over in a way, not in like a scary way, but in like a cool way. I have no idea if that makes any sense. It makes sense in my head, but sometimes it doesn't make sense to other people. She definitely has space to do all the plant things though, and that's what's important. And we are done with Hazel's house. This is how it came out. Let me know what you think. Like I said, I really like this one. Like, it's definitely one of my favorites for sure. It's definitely got solid plant vibes. And now we are going to move on to Marty's house. I did somehow lose the clip for doing his exterior. Don't know how I did that, but it's a cabin. It's a log cabin on the outside. So, I mean, you're not missing that much. And then for his house, he got the cute little yellow stripes to go with the bee theme, because he has the little bee farm. That's not the correct term. It's not, it's an apiary. I can't believe I forgot that word, but I did just look it up and I was like, oh, I feel silly. Anyway, for the inside of his house, he has his little living quarters in the back there that I'm working on now, a little bed area and the little closet area. And then the front is going to end up being like a little, kind of like a store area where people can come in. They can buy, you know, the honey from his bees and, you know, maybe do a honey taste testing, you know, something like that. And I didn't realize this until I did this build that oh my god, I'm gonna butcher how you pronounce this, but the pom-pom-purin character on the back wall there, that's a TV. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I was quite surprised when I realized that was actually a TV, but it was originally in his house as part of like his base furniture, and I thought it was kind of cute, and I was like, at least he can keep one thing from his original house. So that's what we did, even though it does not look like a TV to me. It looks like some sort of like art piece maybe, I don't know. So this is like the little display of things you can buy, I suppose. Well, you can't buy the bee, but the bee like represents the honey in this store. And I loved these pots because they kind of look like there's honey dripping down, and I thought that was so cute. And I put the little bee back here, and he looks like he's operating the cash register, and I'm obsessed with how funny that is to me. Next, we're gonna move on to this little corner where I wanted to do like a little seating area for taste testing, or maybe like a bar area also for taste testing. But just something that you could put a little chair at and sit and eat your honey. And I originally did the ranch table, and then I decided that I hated it and it needed to be a different table. And so instead I grabbed the little cafe table because I felt like it fit a lot better in that corner, and it was like a yellowy color, so I think it fit the whole theme better all together. And now we're just kind of putting the final touches on, you know, getting lighting in there, making sure you can see everything before we add on the kind of like final touches and then more of the wall hangings. And you guys will have to let me know if you like this editing style with HHP, so you don't have to watch me scroll for ages looking for all of the items, because if I kept that in, you guys would be here for like 3 hours just for that. Let's just say I spend a long time looking for items. I don't know why it takes me so long, but it really does. And I don't want to bore you with that. So I kind of cut it out. Let me know if that's how you like it. So you just kind of see the items appear and then where I place them. I feel like that's the most important part, but let me know what you think. And we are to the end of Marty's house. This is how it turned out. Again, let me know what you think. I actually really love how this one came out. And moving on, we're doing Sylvana's house next, and she's gonna get the little bakery because if you recall, she has a bakery on the outside of her house, so that's what she has on the inside. Somewhere for all of the villagers to go and get their sweet treats, their birthday cakes, their little snackies, you know, whatever they need to go just hang out with each other, you know, whatever they need, Sylvana's got them covered. And for this build, I kind of went with like a white brick, and then I also did pink. Halfway through the build, I'm like, you know what this build needs? It needs to look girlier. It needs to be pink and white, and I ended up changing everything because of that one thought. I'm like, yes, it needs to be pink, and it was pink. So I do make several changes later in this build for her pinkness, but this is just going to be like the little bar that you can sit at and enjoy your little treats. The vibe that I really ended up striving for in this build was cozy pink. I think I hit the mark. But honestly, I would love to go to a bakery that looks like this because I really like how it came out, which I should. It's my island. I designed it, so it would be weird if I didn't like what I did. But I hope you guys like it too. And this is where I was like, this is too dark. It needs to be light counters. So I went and I got this white brick countertop, and I think it just looks so much better because the dark, I do normally like the dark a lot more, but for this build it needed to be like bright and airy. And then I turned the little wooden slat shelves pink as well, and I'm obsessed with how this came out. And you know, I'm not normally a pink girl, you know, I don't mind pink, but generally I just don't gravitate towards it. So when I do super girly pink builds like this, I always shock myself because I'm like, why did I do that? But I'm like, but it's so cute. One thing I will say that this game, seriously, oh, I changed the light color. I never even realized that. Whoops. Anyway, one thing that this game I think could use, well, there's a lot of areas where I think it could use some adjustments, but I wish there was more like rugs, like floor things, in more colors and more sizes, because I had issues with, there's not very many pink things, or really like there's only a couple of most colors, for the rugs, and I wish we had more of a selection. And I loved using these little, what are they, like the glowing moss, the hanging glowing moss in pink. So cute. And I think it just made it look like there were garlands being hung, and I loved it. And we're just gonna throw up some last little wall adornments with the pink stars. We gotta have the light switch, or maybe not. I thought I kept that, but I guess I didn't. And I just really wanted the little pink stars everywhere because they're really cute. So when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. And of course it is a business, so she needs to be safe. She needs to be monitoring what people are doing. So we got to put some little security cameras in, which the walls kept turning when I was trying to place it. But now we're just moving on to putting the table items on. I really wanted to put that stacked cutlery on top of the trash can, but it wouldn't let me, and it made me sad. It would have been real cute if I could have done that. But we are done. I hope you like this one as much as I do. I have to say it was probably one of my favorite builds, right up there with Hazel. So let me know if I should add anything. I am thinking I'm going to go back and add like colored lighting into a lot of these because I forgot to do that. And now we're moving on to Blair's house, which, shocking, it's a log house on the outside. And Blair is one of the villagers that has just like a regular house, I would call it, on the inside. It's just like bed, living room, dining area, and kitchen. She didn't get a bathroom, but you know, what can I do? These villager houses sometimes are just not big enough to put everything we want in, so you know, sometimes you just gotta go tinkle in the forest, I guess. Or you know what? No, they all use the bathroom in the campground. That's definitely what it is. Communal bathhouse. That's definitely what's going on here. You know, but at least she has a little switch to play. And you know, she can sit on her couch and read with all of those books. Do some baking in the kitchen, you know, she has options in here. And for her house, I used a lot of the ranch furniture, which I love the ranch furniture, but I don't normally use this many of the items from that collection when doing like a build like this. I just thought that was interesting. It just really fit the vibes, which are very important, as we've learned on this island. And I will say that I do love this island. I think it came out really cute and I'm very proud of it. I am ready to do something else. I'm ready to move on to my summer island. I'm really excited for it. And I'm so close to being done with this island that I can then do that island. But I don't want to skimp on, you know, the pine cone finishing touches. So I'm just having to not rush, because if I rush, I might make mistakes. And then if I ever come to the dream address after this, which I always do, I'll be like, oh man, I should have changed that. And that always bums me out when I notice a mistake. So I don't want to make a mistake like that. Right? Nobody wants something to be wrong with their island after the fact, but I do really want to do this other idea, this summer idea. I think it'll be really cool, and I'm just like itching for the chance. And like I've already started that island, and I've been working on some custom codes and getting to 3 stars and all of that fun stuff. And now that I'm done with most of those, now I'm just like waiting to finish this so I can film the entrance, which is what kind of inspired the whole island idea. But like I said, I gotta finish this island first. And it's not like I don't love this island and want to work on it. It's just I have the ADHD urge to do the new shiny thing instead of, you know, finishing what I had already started. It's a struggle, but I am working through my lack of impulse control by saying, no, let's finish this first, even though it makes me a little bit sad to do that, to say that to myself. But it'll all be good in the end, because then we'll have 2 beautiful islands. And we're about to the point in this video where I start running out of things to talk about, because this is a long video. I think it's like 40 minutes long, 41, something like that. It's over 40 minutes long, but that is neither here nor there. That is a me problem. And we are done with Blair's house, so let me know what you think. It's pretty simple, but you know, simple is good too. Sometimes we need simple, but you know, her house is cute for sure. I'm sorry, I don't have another word, but let's move on to Dora's house. And she has the little like writing area outside of her house. So the inside of her house has a writing area. You guessed it, correct. I also could apparently not decide on the exterior of her house. But after I've done so many log houses for the exterior, I'm like, I don't want them to all look the same, but there's only so many combinations I can do of things. For her interior, she did get the book wallpaper for one of her walls, like Fauna, I believe, had as well. But, you know, that's fine. They're both doing like book and writing related things, so that's perfectly fine. They can share. So the inside of her house kind of looks like a library, which is kind of on purpose, kind of not. I wanted it to kind of look like a meeting area for writers, so that it's like they could all get together and like have critique partners and talk about, you know, their struggles, or talk about some brainstorming ideas, work through plot holes, things like that. Which, when you think about it, is basically a library. So it kind of looks like a library on the inside, but nothing wrong with that. I love a library. I don't love my library because the library closest to me is not that great, but libraries are great resources for so many things. But because it's not actually a library, we have these fun little rugs that you can squish your little toes in while you're writing or reading or brainstorming, doing any of the writing things. So comfort is very important when it comes to creativity. Well, for me anyways. And now we're just kind of filling in these last little areas, making sure that we have a little book cart with books on it. And just books scattered everywhere. Maybe someone's playing some Animal Crossing, you know, listening to an audiobook, maybe reading their manuscript through, doing some edits. Editing is not fun, let me tell you. That's why there's that saying in writing spaces is make sure that you write the book that you want to read, because you're literally gonna read it 6,000 times. So many times. We don't really need to get into that right now. But what we can get into is Dora's house being finished. This is how it came out. Let me know what you think. Do we like it? Is there too many chairs? I kind of feel like there might be too many chairs. But I would definitely do some writing in this room, for sure. And we are moving on to little Bo's house. Now, Bo is one of my favorite villagers in this game, so I had a lot of pressure that I needed to give him a cute house. And I went with the log bed and a lot of the like log furniture because I wanted to, but also like he runs a little hayride, so it's kind of rustic in a way, so that was kind of what I was going for. But I was also very aware that Pudge and Bo's spaces were going to be kind of similar because, you know, Bo had the hayride, but Pudge had the pumpkin patch, but they're not that different. So I didn't want to make anything too similar. Like, I wanted them to be unique to themselves, but to also be connected to each other since they're really close to each other and they kind of tend to be together in most things. Like, I can go to get a hayride at pretty much any pumpkin patch I've ever been to, so that was kind of my thought process. And I really wanted to use these like fall, like weird shaped rugs, like the maple leaf and the acorn, but they're so strangely made and spaced out, so it's just like it looks weird. I haven't found a way to use them. If you've used them, let me know how you did it because I could not figure it out. But I did use the little stump. I liked the stump. It goes with his vibe. And we're just gonna start plopping stuff down to where it needs to go and finish this little build off. I will say this was one of my quicker builds because I had more of an idea of what I was doing. So I got this one done and decorated in like less than 20 minutes, which might still sound like it took a long time, but a lot of the other houses were taking me like 30, 40, even 50 minutes to finish. So I'll take 20 minutes for sure. Moving on to the walls, I did finally get to use this deer headpiece, wooden headpiece. I don't know what you would call that. I'm thinking, is that weird? Is it weird that I put a deer head in a deer's house? Ooh, that might be weird. Well, I already did it, so I guess that's just what we're doing now. Let me know though, is that a little strange? It might be kind of strange. I didn't even think about it at the time, that it could be kind of weird for a deer to sleep underneath a deer head. Whoopsies. We're just gonna move on and ignore that, and we're gonna move on to the lighting. And I did cut it out, but I did make the lighting orange for Bo's house. Or was it yellow? It was orange or yellow. But I do want to go back and change all of the other houses to have the colors as well because I think it's really cute. And we're done with Bo's house. He definitely got like a rustic cabin in the wood vibes, and I love it. And we're just gonna ignore the deer head in the room with us and just move on to Pudge's house at this point. And again, Pudge had the pumpkin patch, so he had, I mean, I didn't really want to take the pumpkin patch inside, but there are elements to it that kind of come inside to his house. And I did really want to use this spooky wallpaper at some point, and I'm glad I got to use it for his house because I think it fits really well. And he got a little like closet separation, which I thought was kind of different instead of like a wall or a partition. Especially since by this point I had pretty much used up all of the like setups that I normally use for houses, you know, like the bed goes here and, you know, the kitchen is on the other side. You know, I was like, I can't just keep doing the same setup over and over. So I was trying to mix it up, and I found some ideas on Pinterest, but, you know, again, interiors are not my strong suit. So I was trying to make it work and not feel like the same thing everywhere. But his house came out pretty cute. We added some little pumpkin flares so that we could make sure you knew it was a pumpkin patch house, a little seating area, and then we have like a little information area at the front. You know, maybe it has some pamphlets on the spooky areas of the island. Maybe there's a ghost tour in there. You know, maybe the hayride is haunted. Those are definitely the things that are in that information rack. And then there's a little seating area so that you can sit and read your pamphlets. And now we're just gonna work on the last little bits of the walls. We got to make sure that we have all of the fall vibes and, you know, our little shrine to the king of Halloween. I did not realize that that picture was that big when I decided to use it. I thought it was small, but you know, now we all know. And perhaps I will have learned that lesson and not make that mistake again and have to make it work. Or perhaps I'll forget and have to learn that lesson multiple times because ADHD. And again, I wish that the rugs were a little bit different because I feel like that rug is a little bit too big for the area, but I wanted to use it, so I did. And then I did remember to do the color on his house as well, and I landed on doing the yellow, I believe. And we are done with his house. I hope you liked Pudge's house. I think it came out pretty good. I think some of the wall items could have been better, but overall I'm pretty satisfied with it. And now finally, we are moving on to the villager who started this all. I originally was not going to do any of the interiors. I was just going to leave the houses as they were, not deal with HHP, and just ignore it. However, when I was building the campground, and it was originally Marshall who was going to be the little like campground person, villager, and I ended up changing my mind and thinking that Grizzly would work a lot better. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to make the interior like a little ranger station. And if I was gonna do one interior, I had to do all of the interiors. So then I was like, well, I guess I gotta do HHP now and do all of these interiors. So it's all Grizzly's fault. No, but I really am glad that I did this because I think it makes the build so much more special. And so he has the little camp store where you get the firewood and everything outside. So inside we're gonna carry that on as well, just like we did with the other builds. So we have the little brochure area that just kind of has like the local attractions and whatnot, things that you can go do and see during the day after you check in and you're doing your little camping trips. And then we of course have a little sitting area, and then I decided that he would of course have his chopped wood up in here. I love using the little stickers that you can do designs on the wall like this, and I think it was just so perfect. So maybe he's a woodworker too, and he's doing little figurines, and so he keeps the wood inside. And of course, safety first, always have a fire extinguisher when you're camping. You never know when you're gonna need it. So I think this build came out pretty cute, and it gives like ranger station vibes. And this camp sign that I originally made for the campground and then I never used it, I think looks really cute here when it's not like washed out from the light. And so I'm glad I was able to use that custom design and that I didn't make it for absolutely no reason. And honestly, after the interiors, we just have the beaches and then its final touches, and then the island is done, which is so crazy to think about because it seems like it's taken a long time to get here, but also at the same time was like super fast. I don't know. But we have the beaches video that will come out next week. And then after that, it's just gonna be the tour video. And then we're on to the next island. So you definitely have that to look forward to. I don't know how long the beach video is gonna be. It's either gonna be a very average length video or it's gonna be extraordinarily long. So I guess we'll find out because I'm still doing the beaches right now. And we are done with Grizzly's house. That is the last interior, you guys. Let me know what your favorite interior was, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!